Hi everyone, welcome to Humans in AI. And in each episode, we talk to a human that's actually working in the AI field. And in this episode, we're going to talk to Brannon from Xbox. Hi, Brannon.
Hi, it's a pleasure to be here. Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, great that you are here.
Yeah.
You are working in a very exciting field for me, personally.
I have the best job in the world.
Great to hear, great to hear. I'm a bit jealous, yeah, to be honest. Okay, I have 5 questions for you. Let's
Okay.
start with the first one, yes? So, you're working in the tech industry.
Yep.
What would have you done if you were not started working in the tech industry?
That's a really good question and a funny story. So before I came to the tech industry, I was studying American Sign Language interpreting. I love the deaf community. I love deaf culture. I love the language. It's a beautiful language. But as I was going through my program, I realized that I was a really bad interpreter. My brain just doesn't work the way that an interpreter's brain needs to. It's a very mentally taxing job. So I kind of had that self-realization and said, okay, I'm gonna look for something else. And I've always been into computers. I loved, I had my first computer when I was 4. And so I thought, oh, computers, tech, that's a great place to start. So that's where I decided I was gonna go.
Nice. What was your first computer?
My first computer was a TRS-80 from
Okay.
Radio Shack.
Oh, wow. Wow,
Yeah,
nice.
with the big disk drive with the 5 1/4 drive, that it was so it would vibrate so much that it would literally walk across the desk, and I'd have to keep moving it back or it'd fall off.
So, you are working in tech for Xbox.
Yeah.
So, what do you and your team do?
We have we do so much. I'll break it down into these categories. So first and foremost, I think, is education. Accessibility is a very complex field, and thankfully, we have a team of people who have been doing it for years and years and years. And so we take our knowledge and our learnings and we try to put it into materials and resources that others can use to help make their products more accessible. Mm-hmm. We have things like our Xbox accessibility guidelines. That's a set of best practices that developers can use to make their games more accessible. We have the recently award-winning Gaming Accessibility Fundamentals Training Program that was put together by the amazing Caitlin Jones. She's a member of my team. Shout out to her. It's this 4-hour training course for people who are just starting to learn about accessibility in the game industry. And it walks them through how to make both software products and hardware products more accessible. We even do, talks at events like GDC. In fact, at this upcoming GDC, I'll be giving a talk on how to build an accessibility program with a colleague of mine, talking about the resources someone can use. So we have the education component. Next, we have our component that is largely centered around making sure that the tools, the services, the platform, that's accessible. That's because, if games are accessible, it's wonderful, but if you can't get to the game, if you can't launch the game because the operating system isn't accessible or the Xbox Live service isn't accessible, what's the point? Yeah. So my team's job is to work with our platform engineers and our website developers and our, all these different engineering teams, our hardware teams, to make sure that we're creating products and services that are accessible so that our gamers can get to those really amazing gaming, accessibility services. And then the final one I'd say is consulting. And so one of my favorite things to do is to talk with third-party developers. We will bring people in, we will go to them, but we'll answer their questions about accessibility. We'll find ways to collaborate, learn from one another, and help them build really, really accessible content. And then take their learnings and we try to incorporate those back into those education materials I was talking about earlier.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. And also some AI, right?
Yes. So this is the part, obviously, why I'm here and why I'm super excited.
Yeah, how did you get into the field of AI?
I came at AI from kind of the opposite direction. I am somebody who has always been passionate and quite fascinated by AI. Ever since I was a little kid, and I love science fiction and that sort of thing. The reason I'm so fascinated by AI is that it really, in my opinion, has the potential to unlock mysteries, medical mysteries, mysteries of science, mysteries of the universe that would take humans much longer to discover on their own. It's a technology that is, for lack of a better word, magical. And so when I heard that in Xbox, we were going to be really thinking about, how we can bring AI to our gamers and our gaming experiences, I was raised my hand, right? How can I help? Because we do really want to make sure that any of the gaming experiences that we create are accessible, of course, and that includes gaming experiences with AI, but also there's some really cool potential stuff we can do with AI to make games more accessible, to potentially open up games to people who might not otherwise be able to play. And so that's really where I'm, putting a lot of my focus is. What are some of the cool projects, some cool technologies that we can use to really open up doors to members of our community who might not otherwise be able to participate?
Yeah, yeah. I can imagine it can really bring a lot extra to all sorts of games from an accessibility perspective and also from a gaming perspective.
It's so funny you mentioned that. It's such a good point, right? In accessibility, we have this concept that, accessibility doesn't just help people with disabilities, right? It also makes gaming better for everyone. Mm-hmm. I mean, as a good example, I don't know how about you, but I play with the closed captions on my television pretty regularly. I can hear the words just fine, but I just kind of prefer it. Sometimes I'll miss a word. Sometimes it's easier for me to kind of follow along with the closed captions. That technology makes gaming better for everyone. Similarly, AI, while we can definitely do some amazing stuff to help open doors for people with disabilities, it also has the potential to make those games more immersive, more enjoyable for everyone. Yeah. And so that's really the approach that I want to take, and I think that Xbox is going to be taking is, how do we make sure that we're building experiences that include people, make the product and experience better for everyone, and it's just a really exciting time to be working on this technology and to be here in Xbox.
Yeah, I also use those closed captions.
Oh,
all
really?
the time.
Okay,
yeah, because
awesome.
I otherwise also miss instructions, right?
Right. Or sometimes, I have kids and they're just loud in the background, and I'm like, wait, what did they say? So having those captions, really awesome.
Yeah. Are there other things in AI that really excite you?
Oh, wow. I mean, again, I alluded to this in the earlier, but as somebody who works in disability, we work with people with a lot of different medical conditions. We also work with people with a lot of really serious illness, and my mom passed away from cancer. And so when I think about the potential of a technology like AI to help solve some of these really difficult medical problems, right? To help cure diseases like cancer, to help build better systems to enable people to use prosthetics or to control assistive technology. That really, I just find that really fascinating and exciting, and I'm really optimistic for the future. I think there's a lot we can do in that space.
Yeah, and I think that a lot is going to happen in the next couple of years, right?
It's going so fast,
it's
isn't
really
it?
going fast now.
Yeah. It's, in fact, it's so funny because it's hard for me to catch up at this point. Every day there's a new article, there's something new to read.
Yeah.
I've been, I have to study a lot.
Yeah. Me too.
Yeah.
One last question.
Yeah.
What do you really love about your job?
Okay, I'm going to answer that with a story. So the way I got into accessibility. So back in 2003, I was volunteering at Seattle Children's Hospital and Regional Medical Center. And my job was to basically spend time with kids, hang out with them, because these kids are between medical procedures. Some of them have been in the hospital for days or weeks, even years in some cases. Mm-hmm. And they just need a distraction. So I would come in and I would play games with them. And they all thought it was pretty cool that I worked at Xbox, right? You know, wow, you work on video games. In fact, I had the business cards and I had like Master Chief on it, the back of some, and I had Project Gotham Racing on the back of others. And I would put them in my badge holder and the kids would be like, oh, you work on it? Yeah. So it was really fun. One day I was asked to go visit this girl. She was maybe 13, 14 years old. And she had been literally living in the hospital for over a year. She had some very, very serious medical conditions. And they said, you know, she's kind of hard to engage because she's kind of down, right? She's, as one would probably be. And so they said, you know, maybe you can go up and find a way to get her to, you know, engage with you. So went up and I asked all the normal questions. You know, hey, you want to do some art? You know, you want to watch a movie? You want to play a board game? No, no, no. And so finally I pulled out what normally was my trump card. I was like, well, you know, I like video games. You want to play video games? And she said, no, I don't like video games. And caught me a little off guard. And I said, well, you know, I work on video games, and I'm curious, why don't you like video games? And she looked at me, and her exact words were, I don't like video games because you don't make any that I can play. And, you know, and as someone has studied, you know, sign language interpreting, I was familiar with the concept of accessibility at the time, but I had never thought about applying it to gaming. And I could just see in her eyes how angry she was about that she couldn't participate. And I felt, frankly, really stupid that I had never thought of that before. And so that was the moment when my career became game accessibility. That's when I knew this was going to be my job, because all of us, I think, have experienced in our life some moment where we've been excluded, right? It's the worst feeling in the world. You know, I'm a parent, I have 2 children, and when my son comes home and tells me that he didn't get picked for the team or the kids left him out of something, I mean, it's gut-wrenching. So the fact now that I'm able to work on technology that enables people who might not otherwise be able to play, to get together, to play with their friends, to play with their family, to experience this like cultural zeitgeist that is gaming, right? I mean, it's just, it makes me feel wonderful. You know, it's, you know, even on the worst days when, you know, you got too much email and too many reports due, I can look in the mirror and go, at the end of the day, it's worth it, because I know that this is helping someone participate in something that is very, very near and dear to my heart, which is gaming.
Wow, thank you so much. I'm really looking forward to what AI can bring for accessibility in gaming. Thank you.